Hi folks, how you doing? In the fifth round of the Norway 2014 tournament, you have some really amazing and crazy games. The one between the world's number one and two Magnus Carlsen and Aronian is really on fire, crazy game. And another really amazing, spectacular one was this game between Anish Giri as white and Veselin Topalov as black. Let us see what happened because really it was an amazing battle. We have the Sicilian defense, the classical Richter Rouser Sicilian is going to appear after knight c6, bishop g5, the Richter Rouser attack, I think it's called. Classically an old variation and fairly an aggressive one, as most open Sicilians. Now we have a bunch of very theoretical and absolutely popular moves, very well known. a6, white castles long, bishop d7. As usual in these Sicilians, white has available this plan of playing f3, g4, h4, try to pawn storm black on the king side, but the other main option here for white is what Anish Giri plays, to play right away f4, occupying the center. b5. Once again, we're following really lots of theory. Okay, now black here captures with the g pawn. This is really damaging his pawn structure, but compensations are there. This pawn is now more looking towards the center, so black has incorporated another pawn in the defense of the control of this e5 central square, and also black has the g open file, which could be a possibility for the rook on h8 to play in. King b1, and here where Topalov slightly deviates from the most common theoretical lines. The most common here, the most popular move is to play queen b6, after which white usually takes, bishop takes, and some strange moves really happen here. Queen e1, I don't know why this move is played. Then rook a7, well, probably Sicilian experts know what's going on here. I'm not one. But after king b1, well, it looks natural to play b4. That's what Veselin does. Knight goes back to e2. Now queen b6 is played. And here white has a couple of main options, usually. As it seems in the database, white usually takes on c6, or either tries to play f5, a little aggression here. Instead, queen e1 is what Anish Giri plays. As you saw, this was an idea a couple of moves early in the other line with queen b6 instead of b4 for black. But Giri plays it anyway, and really don't know what's the idea of this queen. Maybe going to this king side here. I don't know. It's a move. Rook c8 certainly has its idea. You always want this rook on the c file in these open Sicilians to attack, to frequently sacrifice it where there is a knight on c3, etc. And another fairly strange move, at least for me, by Giri. h4, I mean, there is nothing to attack here on the king side, apparently. And most probably his almost only idea is to play, as we will see later, to play rook h3 and develop quickly the rook. Knight a5 is played by Topalov. Knight c1, defensive measures are taken by Giri. And now knight goes to c4. Rook h3, this probably was the idea of playing h4. The rook is now very active on the third rank. a5, black has his usual Sicilian attack going on the queen side. And honestly speaking, I think white is quite passive here. Doesn't have anything that bad about his position, but white is just kind of waiting and seeing what happens, and I don't know. Topalov is going to take advantage of that with some really active moves. After bishop takes, black now has the bishop pair, although the position isn't very open right now. It could be a factor on long term. Now the rook goes to d3 and h5, classical rule saying if you can fix a weak pawn as this one in this case, in an open file, well, that's almost always very good for you. So that's what Topalov does with this h5 move. Now g3 is what Giri plays, bishop e7, queen e2, and bishop relocate, probably going to this a6 square, looking for active diagonals. Rook 3 d2, attacking the rook, bishop a6, and queen goes away, queen f3. a4, these pawns keep rolling. Knight ce2, and bishop b7. I mean, not that black has anything concrete or is already winning or something, but he has the bishop pair, initiative on the queen side, and his king seems rather safe here on the center, unless white somehow opens up the center and just blizzards here. I mean, makes a pawn storm here or something, and with this d-file does something really nasty against this black king. But otherwise, this seems perfectly fine position for black. In fact, I think most people would take black here, much more active looking. So queen d3, rook c5, and c4. Maybe white's idea is to go with the knight to b5 and stress the weakness of this d6 pawn trying to play in the center. And I'm absolutely sure that after b takes c3, white would be feeling much better after knight takes, although there is a funny, interesting line here for black, giving up some material. With this exchange sacrifice, after this, black could take on e4 with a check. And this is an interesting alternative, a very creative one, showed by the engine. Now black castles and has some ideas like putting the rook on a8 and pushing a3, and also someday playing f5, defending the bishop on e4 and putting the bishop on f6 on this very big and nice diagonal, attacking white king. This was certainly, I mean, maybe not so easy to evaluate this without an engine or see this whatever, but certainly is looking really an interesting alternative for black here. But instead, well, king f8 is what Topalov plays, getting out with the king out of the center. b3, rook g8, b takes a4, queen goes to a6, attacking both c4, a4, knight b5. It seems this is what Anish's idea was, and king g7, a curious royal trip by the king. Knight d4. Well, at least white is now regrouping pieces, centralizing knights, but he has really weakened his king's position here. Queen takes a4, and here f5 seems, according to the engine, really seems a mistake, because now black has a very simple and straightforward, quite powerful plan with rook e5 attacking the pawn on e4. Rook e1 is what Giri played, and here Topalov had really some coherent continuation with d5, which is in fact giving black, it seems, quite an advantage, because now this pawn of course is pinned, and just to show how this game could continue if both players made the best moves available here. At least that's what the engine says. g4, I mean, white, it seems white doesn't have really anything to do. D takes c4, queen takes c4, and now bishop takes e4 check. And for instance, if the king goes to a1, which probably is not the best move white has here, very beautiful bishop d3 attacking both the queen and the rook, and this seems really a very tough position to defend for white. But instead, really surprisingly, Topalov really throws his advantage. He plays king h8. I mean, who might think that a move like this would throw the game away? Well, apparently it does. So let us try to understand what happened here. Now knight f3, and white is just attacking the rook. The pawn on e4 is now protected. And for instance, if white goes, black goes rook c5, this is what probably would happen. Now knight takes on d6, as earlier stated, this was a weakness, attacking both f7 and b7, and all of a sudden, this is really all of a sudden, black's position is really crumbling. Rook b8, for instance, to defend the bishop. Now spectacular knight g5, and black shouldn't take that because now queen d4 check, and white is taking the rook on c5, winning, what is that, an exchange in the pawn, for instance, and really bringing down all the black's position. So this simple, after knight f3, black is, now it's black who is in big problems, and well, Topalov really loses the track. He takes on f5, now knight takes e5, f takes, and white wins a clean exchange after knight takes d6, still threatening both things on b7 and f7. Now b3 trying to mess the things, mud the waters, but now Giri plays precisely and doesn't let this huge advantage slip. First he takes on b7. Black is sacrificing a piece temporarily to try to get something. He takes a2 check, but king a1. The black pawn is like a shield for the white king. Now queen b4. Queen e3 is defending, indirectly defending the knight because white is just threatening checkmate in one move. So f4, g takes, and bishop takes h4. You may ask, well, what if queen takes on b7? Well, now white is still up in exchange. Remember, the piece on b7 was just given as a gift by black. So f takes e5 continues threatening checkmate, bishop f8, and rook f1, for instance, to go with the rook to f6, and this is basically over for white. Of course, white shouldn't allow checkmate on b1. That would be embarrassing, but in a proper moment, rook f6 could be a strong idea. So, well, after g takes f6, Topalov just took on h4, but now this is going down, and black's position is absolutely disappearing, being swept. Rook h1, queen takes on b7, f takes e5, same threat of checkmating. Topalov makes a room for his king, rook g4, queen check, king g8, queen takes h5. Everything is under attack here. Queen takes on e4, attacking some things, but after precise moves, rook d8. In fact, here Topalov just resigned. 43 moves have been played, and the reason is that apparently black is getting almost checkmated in some moves, and at least his king is going to have to march towards the center, which doesn't seem a very safe alternative here. For very safe trip for the black king here. It could be followed now king g7, queen h8 check, king g6, rook d6 check. After king f5, white has this rook f6 check because well, black, if black takes, this is checkmate, is just one move. But instead, black can take on e5, but now discovered attack, rook takes f7 check, and this is basically over. Black king is very, very unsafe in the center and will be eventually checkmated, or black will lose all his material. Whatever, this is absolutely losing at this level, so they didn't go for this. Topalov resigned, and this is giving Anish Giri really quite an unexpected victory because he was not playing that well the opening and he was almost toasted on the middle game. There it goes, chess is that way, blunders happen, and moreover in complicated positions. Thanks for watching.